swept the nation. Hundreds over the weekend were canceled. We still are dealing with delays and cancellations yet this morning. We're going to be live at O'Hare to show you where things stand right now.
Let's give you a live look outside. Boy, it is so cold out there, and it shows, doesn't it? Grab an extra layer if you're heading out the door. Mike is tracking how long it could take before we get a break.
Okay, let's get the answer to that. How long? How long?
Well, we're getting a break from the snow, so we've got that going for us. But if you're looking for a thaw, I've got nothing for the rest of the month at least, and maybe at least for the first couple of days of February. Good morning, everybody. Another cold one on the way today, but you are going to see some sunshine. 2 degrees. That'll be it at 9. At noon, 7. And maybe we'll get to double digits briefly. But at 4 o'clock, despite sunshine, 9 degrees and breezy with wind chills likely to stay below 0 all day. These are the current temps. 6 below at DeKalb, 0 at O'Hare and Chicago Heights. Kankakee, you've dropped to 5 below. It's 2 at Valparaiso. Those are the temperatures. Here's what it feels like if you don't cover your skin and all, okay? 23 below at Aurora, 19 below at Waukegan, Woodstock, 18 below at O'Hare, 16 below at Gary, even 22 below 0, the wind chill at Kankakee. Not going to get much better all day long. Let's check those travel times now, Anthony.
Okay, let me run you through them real quick. A little bit longer than last time we checked in. You are mostly in the green. From the big airport to downtown, you're looking at 41 minutes right now. On the Eisenhower inbound, you're at 38 minutes. And you're in the yellow slightly on both the Stevenson and the Dan Ryan. They kind of vanished on me there. But it's not too much red. There are the updated times. 35 minutes inbound on the Stevenson between I-355 and DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And it's a half-hour ride on the inbound Dan Ryan. That express lane accident has been cleared. That was at 47th Street. Now you're running smooth. Breaking news overnight, crews rescued multiple people from an apartment fire on the city's north side. Happened in West Rogers Park. This is right near the intersection of Western Avenue and Touhy. 2 people were taken to the hospital, both of them in critical. Crews say this morning they weren't just fighting the fire itself, they were fighting the cold.
Challenges is the temperature right off the bat. And obviously, if you look at the building, the access, you got a couple little corridors down each side of the building, the front and back. It's not like you got a driveway that you can walk up or anything, or a parking lot.
Firefighters say the fire is out. No word yet on what sparked it.
And the winter storm here and across the country crippled air travel.
Yeah, now thousands of flight cancellations, trying to recover from those over the weekend. Airports trying to get back on track. Roseanne Tejas is live at O'Hare with the latest update from the terminal there. Roseanne, good morning.
Well, it is getting very busy here at O'Hare. The lines are growing very long. After hundreds of cancellations here over the weekend, there's a lot of catching up to do, and there are some more flight delays to tell you about today and cancellations. Fly Chicago reports 191 total cancellations here at O'Hare right now. Midway is reporting 29. Now, with all of the snow, sleet, and freezing rain, it's no surprise the massive winter storm led to 10,000 flights canceled yesterday. The snowy scenes are at O'Hare here, but places like Atlanta, Charleston, and Dallas-Fort Worth had the same issues. FlightAware showing more than 3,700 cancellations within, into, or out of the U.S. nationwide today. That's up 100 from when I talked to you at 5 a.m. There are 976 delays. That's up a bit too. United has 280 flights canceled system-wide, 39 here. But Meyer Feit is thrilled that his flight to Costa Rica with his 4 kids and his wife isn't among them, especially after what he went through this weekend.
We drove from Brooklyn, New York to Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, wow. In the middle of all this craziness.
Yes, in the middle of the craziness, snow and all. So when I drove through Pennsylvania, I did see signs that said no commercial vehicles were allowed on the road, so like no trucks, things like that. The rest of the states did not have that. And we just really, we just barely made it before it got heavy and dangerous.
Now back live, you can see how the terminal here at O'Hare has filled up. And as I said, the security line's growing. So definitely very, very busy. If you're heading to O'Hare, you need to know that. And boy, hats off to that family traveling with 4 children. I know, Natalie, Anthony, you can relate, or everybody there can relate to what that must be like. So back to you guys.
You always got to
studio.
give those parents a helping hand if you got a free hand, because traveling with kids with those car seats and everything, boy, it can be.
They must be well-disciplined children
Yeah.
if they're willing to take that trek.
Yeah.
Well, developing this morning, we have growing calls for an investigation after a Border Patrol agent, ICE agent rather, shot and killed a protester in Minneapolis.
37-year-old Alex Preddy was at that protest. He had worked as an ICU nurse. Gabriella Primus joins us with what the president is now saying about the situation. Gabriella?
Well, you know, a lot of tension on this story, obviously. The president has not said whether the agent who shot Preddy did the right thing, but is saying his administration is reviewing everything that happened. The Department of Homeland Security says the agent was defending himself against Preddy, who they say approached with a gun and attacked. But video from a witness appears to show Preddy recording agents when he gets shoved. Agents seem to pin Preddy on the ground, and one of those agents then walks away with the gun. Then an agent is seen drawing his own gun while another hit Preddy. That's when the gunfire begins.
Let's think of what those agents were doing on that scene, making a split-second decision. You've had 24 hours to try and armchair quarterback things. That agent had a split seconds to make a decision.
Minnesota authorities say they obtained a search warrant but were blocked from the shooting scene. Governor Tim Walz now says the state will conduct its own investigation.
So my question is, what's the plan, Donald Trump? What is the plan? What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state?
The plan, according to the president, is to leave when he did not say when, but he did not say when. The immigration crackdown is in Minnesota was launched earlier this month. Trump administration officials say it is tied to a $250 million fraud investigation involving the Somali community. Natalie.
All right, thank you, Gabby. People hit the streets of Chicago to protest in solidarity with those in Minneapolis. They gathered at Ida B. Wells and Michigan Avenue downtown on Sunday in the frigid temperatures and snowfall. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson calling for defunding and abolishing ICE.
Chicago is not just the greatest city in the world, but we are the toughest city in the world, and a little bit of snow and cold will not stop us. Not only should we defund ICE, but it is time to abolish ICE and send Greg Bovino out. Are you with us, Chicago?
Today, a federal judge will take on a case focused on whether to halt the immigration crackdown in Minnesota. The state sued earlier this month, 5 days after Renee Good, another protester and mother of three, was shot by an ICE officer.
All right, taking a live look outside this morning. I guess we can see half the screen there as the buildings exhale. That camera looks like they turned it from pointing south toward the skyline,
Yes.
where we could see nothing, over toward the lake. And Mike, we are frigid, and we're staying frigid, it sounds like.
We are. It's shades of extreme cold really all week long. Normal high this time of year is right around freezing, and we're just not going to get there. So none of this snow is going to melt, and it's very tough to melt the snow even with salt on the roadways. But with sunshine coming out today, that may help a little bit. That sunlight does impact the surface temperatures, so maybe we get a little melting going on. But here's the deal. It's cold till further notice, below freezing the rest of the month. No big storms this week. However, I'm looking at an impactful lake effect setup potentially Friday and Saturday somewhere in the Chicago area. 0 in O'Hare, still mostly cloudy there, but the clouds are breaking up. We have a west-northwest wind at 13, producing a wind chill of 18 below zero. These are the current temperatures: 5 below at Aurora, 4 below at Woodstock and Morris, 0 Chicago Heights, still above 0 for most of northwest Indiana, but Rensselaer, you've dropped to 3 below 0 with clear skies there. Look at these wind chills. Had we not gone through those minus 30s last week, this would be bad enough. Feels like 15 below at Midway, 18 below at O'Hare, and a few spots 20 below 0 or worse, including at the Aurora Airport. Right now it's 23 below. So, cold weather advisory, all of Chicagoland for another 5 hours, but it won't be much more comfortable this afternoon. A high of only 10, wind chills as bad as 20 below 0, but at least it becomes mostly sunny. Tonight, cloud cover increases, temperatures rise after hitting 5 for the low, and there could be just a touch of some light snow, especially far north, overnight. Back to you both.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. We are following developments live in Minneapolis. Our Saquon will join us with the new push from businesses up there to get their message across to both the Trump administration and the local Minnesota authorities there. We're also speaking with a retired FBI agent about the status of the investigation into Alex Pretty's killing.
Pay attention.
Welcome back. Dozens of Minnesota businesses are now making their voices heard after that deadly shooting that happened in Minneapolis over the weekend involving federal authorities.
And we are talking small businesses to huge companies. Fox Chicago's Saquon is live in Minneapolis with more. Say.
Hey, good morning to you guys. We are here in the Whittier neighborhood, also known as Eat Street. That's what many locals call it here because there are some really prominent businesses here from the Twin Cities, owned by immigrants, owned by people of color who line Eat Street pretty much. I'll show you the memorial here because it has grown so much over just the last 2 days. This shooting, this deadly shooting of Alex Pretty happened here on Saturday. I was out here on Saturday night. There were huge crowds of people just paying their respects, laying things like flowers and lighting candles, writing signs, making their voices heard, calling for an end to the situation that's happening here, these immigration operations. So you can see this memorial has grown a lot, but also we've seen people coming out here as early as 5 o'clock this morning to continue laying down these flowers and show their respects. We also are talking about, you know, the impact to these local businesses. I know you kind of mentioned that as well. Glam Doll Donuts is a very popular business here in town. They're a small business. They've been around for 13 years now, right here where they are. And, you know, just when they were starting to find their footing again, this tragedy, of course, unfolds. They actually are going to be closed today and tomorrow. They open back up on Wednesday, but that's really similar to what we've been seeing playing out with all the businesses in this area. You mentioned some of this, the bigger companies as well. We know now 60 CEOs from Minnesota-based companies, along with Minnesota sports teams, professional sports teams, have now signed on to an open letter basically urging, you know, federal officials to stop this to stop these immigration operations and to de-escalate the situation. They're calling for a better solution. They haven't really specified exactly what they want that solution to be. But of course, this is a whole community effort at this point, and everyone is teaming up to make their voices heard. Guys.
Say, one thing I do want to point out for our viewers is that Say spent 3 years in Minneapolis as a reporter. We're so glad to have you as our eyes and ears on the ground this morning. A couple questions. Not only what is the mood there this morning, but also can you describe that neighborhood itself? Is it one of those upscale neighborhoods? Is it a neighborhood where it's got just a really dense immigrant population? Paint a picture for us if you don't mind.
Yes, and I'm happy to. So let's first talk about the neighborhood here. So this is Whittier. This is about 15 minutes away from the downtown areas, also about 15 minutes away from where Renee Good was shot and killed. This is a neighborhood with many people of color, lots of immigrants, and this is very residential as well. So you got grocery stores here. You have 2 Asian grocery stores almost right next to each other. So a lot of people come here to get their, their pho, their Vietnamese food here, their Mexican food here. There's a Greek restaurant here. This is, a place where people are kind of seen and are able to kind of connect with their community members here. Very residential. When you talk about the mood here, it's very different from what we saw on Saturday when Alex Preddy was shot and killed. It's very somber now. I think people at this point are frustrated because they want answers and they're not necessarily getting them right now. They want this to be explained. Seeing some of these aggressive tactics that are being used by ICE agents, which, by the way, there are federal hearings that are going to be played out in court today regarding the legality of these immigration operations, and also that federal ruling that came out basically blocking the Trump administration and these federal officials from messing with any of the evidence. These are going to be huge in how the community also responds today and for the next days, weeks, months to come. So the community is in a lot of pain. We've been through a lot in the last year. So it's going to take some time for everyone to kind of heal, I think.
Say, one last question for you. Can you talk a little bit about the nature of the protests themselves? Because obviously Minneapolis, a flashpoint during the George Floyd protests, and much of the community was destroyed by protesters. Are you seeing that repeat itself, or are the protests fairly peaceful?
And I will be just so honest in saying that I haven't been at a lot of these protests. However, I'm working with colleagues who are at the protests, and I'm hearing from them every day. And really, for the most part, let's talk about the memorial first. Things have been very peaceful here. Things have been, very calm. Everyone's hugging each other. Business owners are opening up their shops, putting their safety on the line also, even with these federal agents around, opening their doors and making sure that people have a place to kind of warm up. When it comes to these protests and rallies, for the most part, what we have seen is people just making their voices heard. Once again, that same language saying, get ICE out of our state. That's what people are chanting right now. They want justice. They want accountability, and they are really calling on our elected officials at the local, at the state, and federal levels to take this accountability and also do something, find a solution, and get ICE out of our state.
Say Quan, live in Minneapolis for us. Thanks so much, Say. We'll catch up with you a little bit later. Calls are growing for a civil rights investigation into the shooting this morning that Say was just walking us through. And witness video is raising new questions about what really happened. Retired FBI agent Ross Rice joins us now to walk through these developments. Thanks so much, Ross, for being with us. Let's start with this. How hard is this to investigate?
It's not going to be very difficult, I don't think, Natalie. There's been a lot of video that's been shown that was taken by bystanders, witnesses, uninvolved third parties. But when you get right down to it, the key issue here is, was Mr. Preddy armed, and was he either brandishing or attempting to draw his weapon? It's quite clear from some of the videos that I've seen that the ICE or Border Patrol agents that were on scene were trying to subdue and arrest him. I assume because he was interfering with their operations, which would be a criminal offense. He was resisting, and there was a scrum with him on the ground and several ICE agents on top of him. But again, the key point, and I don't see this in any of the videos, is was he trying to draw his weapon? Was he threatening the agents with the weapon? That would change the dynamics. And the only people that really are going to know that are the agents that were involved. And in some of the videos I've seen, it wasn't clear to me that those agents and officers were wearing body cameras. I hope they were, because that will remove any doubt about what was said and what happened and why this incident took place.
Who is the investigative body? Because we're getting conflicting reports from federal agents and then local agents on the ground as to what exactly happened.
It's my understanding that the FBI has been taking the lead in all of the shooting investigations involving ICE, Border Patrol, etc. There is a federal statute assaulting a federal officer, AFO, which the FBI has primary jurisdiction to investigate. And the results of that investigation would be presented to the U.S. Attorney's Office, in this case in Minneapolis, and they would make a decision about whether the shooting was justified and any charges should be filed. Now, because the one person that was involved, that was the subject of the investigation, Mr. Preddy, is deceased, obviously he won't be charged, but they're still looking or going to look at the agent and the officer that fired the shot to make sure that was a justified shooting.
Fox News is reporting that Alex Preddy may have been in contact with what they're calling a far-left network, basically following some encrypted signal messages, leading protesters to that particular site, the fact that Preddy was on the scene before agents arrived. Will that be taken into account at all, perhaps what led up to this and these groups that are trying to organize these protests against ICE and Border Patrol?
As far as the shooting, Natalie, that's a secondary issue. The main focus of an internal investigation, a shooting investigation, is going to be, was the shooting justified? Did the agents have a reasonable fear for their safety? And if so, yeah, their use of deadly force would be justified. But I think what you're talking about lends itself to a bigger problem that's leading to these incidents. Yes, people have a right to protest what's happening. They have a right to be on scene if an arrest is taking place and to film it. They don't have a right to interfere with the enforcement operations. They don't have a right to interject themselves in the process. And when that happens, as we saw with Mr. Preddy, as we saw with Renee Good, it's not going to wind up well. And whether people are being encouraged to do that or whether they're just reacting in the spur of the moment, I don't know. Possibly the internal investigation that's being conducted in Minneapolis will make a determination about that.
I've not gotten the wrap just yet, so I want to ask you one more question. Taken into question here has been the type of training that these federal agents get, since the government is trying to onboard them as quickly as possible. Can you give us a kind of insight into that? Are these people who are retired agents? Do they have any policing background? What kind of training do they get? And are they equipped to deal with situations like this?
The standard training for federal agents, it's going to vary from location to location. FBI and DEA agents are trained at the FBI Academy in Quantico. All other federal agents, with the exception of Secret Service, are trained at a facility in Glencoe, Georgia. The training is 90-plus days. It's on campus. You live at the training academy. You have training 5 days a week, plus weekends. And the fact that you're involved in the training doesn't mean that you're going to graduate. You have to meet certain levels of accomplishment with respect to academics, with respect to legal, physical fitness, defensive tactics, firearms training. So I know that there's been a push to onboard new agents. Some of them are coming from other law enforcement backgrounds, which may streamline the training a little bit. I just am not privy to that. But to say that these agents and officers are untrained or unqualified, I think would be a misstatement.
Okay, Ross Rice, thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Ross.
Always a pleasure.
Okay, 7:24. Here's a quick look at your drive times. Everything now in the yellow as we head to break. We'll be right back.
Fox 32.
Some lawmakers are refusing to fund the Department of Homeland Security and ICE after a second shooting involving federal authorities in Minneapolis.
Yeah, which happened over the weekend. Alex Preddy. Gabriela Primus joins us with that and some of the other headlines we are following this morning.
Yeah,
Gabriela?
let's talk about it, Natalie Anthony. The threat to strip money from those agencies could raise the risk of another government shutdown at the end of the week. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer posted on social media that Democrats will not provide the votes to proceed with the appropriations bill if the DHS funding bill is included. Several Republicans are joining Democrats in calling for an investigation into the shooting in Minneapolis, including Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy and North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis. Senators need to pass a spending package by Friday to avoid a shutdown. And here in the city, crews rescued multiple people from an apartment fire on the city's north side overnight. It happened in Rogers Park near the intersection of Northwestern and West Toohey Avenues. 2 people were taken to the hospital, both in critical condition. Firefighters say the fire is out. No word yet on what sparked it. Thousands of people are without power after a massive winter storm makes its way across the south to the northeast. We've been talking about this. The outages are mostly concentrated in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana. The concern about energy will grow as cool temperatures settle in this week and threaten the electricity grid. Mike.
It is cold out there, but at least the sun is going to break through. We've got that going for us, but wind chills still biting. I'm looking at a 23 below wind chill at Aurora, 18 below at O'Hare. It's going to be cold all week. I've got the forecast coming up.
Thousands rally in downtown against federal agents shooting Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. This unfolded on Saturday. Mayor Brandon Johnson joined them in person. Both he and Governor J.B. Pritzker called for the abolition of ICE. The White House says ICE acted in self-defense in that latest shooting, though video appears to show agents had disarmed Preddy before he was shot.
2 people are in the hospital this morning after a fire broke out in an apartment building in Rogers Park. Started on the first floor, though we don't know the cause. Fire crews say the sub-zero wind chills made it tougher to fight the fire. The condition of the victim isn't known.
A man is being held in Joliet accused of killing a woman and her 4-year-old child. Police found both victims yesterday in the backyard of a home on Garnsey Avenue. Another child, an 8-year-old boy, was in a bedroom. He was not physically hurt. Police say the suspect shot himself in the ankle. They say the shooting is the result of a domestic dispute.
All right, we've heard this before. The government has a deadline to avoid a shutdown.
Gabriella's here with more on that. Gabriella.
Natalie, Anthony, let's talk about it. The government is set to run out of money on Friday night. Now, last year, there was a complete shutdown. Remember that. That wouldn't be the case this time, though, because most of the spending bills have been passed. But there are 6 that have not. Senate Democrats say they will not vote for any bill funding ICE because of the Minneapolis shooting. The shutdown last year set a record for the longest one yet. Another headline for you, the American Academy of Pediatrics is going its own way on vaccine recommendations. The Tribune first reported the agency will continue to say infants need to get vaccines for hepatitis B and the flu shot, plus the COVID vaccine. The new recommendations from the CDC say those are optional. The Academy of Pediatrics has the support of several medical associations. Now, this kind of weather might not be great for your electric vehicle if you have one. Consumer Reports say electric vehicles may not run in extreme cold. They might not run at all, actually. Consumer Reports say the cold saps the battery's ability to produce power. If it does power up, it still might not have the juice to warm up the passenger area. So you might want to step out just a little bit early in case you need to make a backup plan. Natalie, I'll toss it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Gabby. Millions of people dealing with some kind of extreme cold, ice, and snow today.
There are hundreds of thousands who don't have power because ice has taken down power lines. Caroline Shively is live in Washington, D.C., which was hit hard, with more. Caroline, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. We're about 3 blocks from the Capitol. I think it is fair to say Chicago can handle snow. We feel like you guys laugh at us a little bit when we get a sprinkle of snow and they shut the government down. But take a look at this. I think it makes sense to shut the federal government down on this Monday. This is what we are seeing along the roads. I can't tell if that car is stuck. Do they need to dig? We are seeing this is a terrible intersection. We haven't seen any plows, and we have been out here since 3 this morning. And that is the story we are seeing through much of the Mid-Atlantic.
Water meters busted, there's water going everywhere, trees fell on the cars.
Snow and ice blanketing communities across more than half the country, throughout swaths of the south and up to the northeast, with more expected to keep falling in some regions into Monday.
We've been plowing for almost 12 hours.
The slick conditions accompanied by extremely low temperatures, threatening more damage and travel delays.
An Arctic siege has taken over our state and many other states.
People in New York, Philadelphia, and Boston will have plenty of digging out to do as a buildup of sleet and freezing rain triggers fears of worsening power outages, especially down south.
If you get to a situation where you have traffic signals that are out or no power, please treat them as stop signs.
There's live wires down in people's yards. There's one in my yard.
Meanwhile, with tens of thousands of flights being canceled or delayed Sunday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy tells Fox it was the worst day of flight cancellations since March of 2020.
We had massive disruption in the airspace, and so you have to work through that backlog and maintain the current flight structure for the coming days.
I want to show you this sidewalk. We have seen folks out here working since 3 a.m. since we got here. That sidewalk is absolutely pristine. Good job, sir. You're doing an amazing job. However, the roads here in parts of D.C. could definitely use some work. We're here in the parking area right here. This is the road. We have seen several cars have to back and shunt to get around this intersection. It's still rough here, guys. It makes sense that the federal government is going to be closed all day long. Back to you in Chicago.
Oh, man.
I'm glad that shoveler is getting national recognition.
Exactly. It's a beautiful work. Beautiful work.
Yes. Thank you, Caroline.
Caroline, thank you.
He's amazing.
Mike, I make no secret of the fact that I enjoy and lean into a good morning shovel.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I like getting the lines nice and tight.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
And yesterday...
Don't want that little stripe of snow
Yeah,
between
exactly.
your passes. I got you.
And yesterday I had to do 2 rounds because it just... I wanted to clear what came in the morning, but then I was like, oh my gosh, it's going. I had to touch it up at the end of the day.
I was concerned about the size of the shovel that guy was using, though. Didn't it look like it was about this wide? Like a little tiny one there, but he was working hard. Keep at it. Yeah, well, look, we've been talking about the wide-ranging impacts of the storm. It hit the city of Chicago perhaps as hard as anywhere in Chicagoland, but all of us are seeing this. The misery of yet another morning with wind chills that are biting. Feels like 23 below at Aurora. Woodstock, a couple of degrees colder than that. Cover up, hat, gloves, the whole deal, and certainly some waterproof shoes dealing with the snow that's still on the ground in some driveways. We have a cold weather advisory in effect until noon. All of Chicagoland to deal with these wind chills that at times will be 20 below zero or worse. 10, that's it for the high today. But we're going to see sunshine. May actually look kind of pretty out there if you don't have to go too far or spend much time outside. Tonight down to 5, and temperatures rise with that southwest wind. Maybe a little bit of snow far north, minimal, kind of like flurries or a brief snow shower. But look at these teens. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. Then, as we get toward Friday and Saturday, that is when there's the potential for some lake effect snow again. Too early to tell exactly who's going to get hit with that. We've got several lovely photos. How about this shot here? I think Kathy Breen has summed it up pretty nicely here. Plowing in the snow. Stop it. Love that. Well done there, Kathy. I like it. Photo number 2, this is a neat shot from my buddy Jason Kern. He and I often see each other out at dinner in Gurnee, flying over Independence, Iowa. That is a snowscape there, not far from Cedar Rapids. See a little bit of terrain there too, but that's a cool shot there, Jason. And let's go somewhere tropical with Leah Anderson as she brings us to, oh, we misspelled that. There's no extra T in there. That is Huatulco, Mexico. And boy, that looks inviting there on the shores of the Pacific Ocean. 7:38. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back. Almost all of us not fans of this kind of weather, but some people love when this kind of thing happens. I'm thinking of plow drivers on one hand, but also think of the photographers. Yes, this is some of the best times of the year to get out and capture the beauty. when storms like this hit. No one does it better than this guy right here, photographer Barry Butler. You will probably be familiar with some of his images. Barry, thank you for joining us. He's going to join us with some of the incredible pictures that you snapped over the weekend. Can you give a comment on just how much you like
it's
this
the best
weather?
Time of the year.
Best time of the year.
Yeah, photography-wise, it's awesome because the landscape is constantly changing. You get the ice, the snow, and steam coming up. This is fun.
Just a lot of like interesting like ice formations and things. Okay, so let's go through the gallery that you have brought.
There's Navy
Okay,
Pier.
take us through.
That was last January. And the steam coming up on both sides of the Chicago harbor there, just absolutely spectacular.
And was that via drone? It looks
that was
like
via drone,
Okay.
yeah.
That is spectacular. I love the colors there, the composition. Let's see another one here. What are we looking at here? Ice pancakes.
Yeah, so that's, you know, with the water swirling and all of a sudden the snow on top of the water gets all frozen. So it looks like a bunch of white hockey pucks.
It does. Like they look like little wafers, and that was taken right off of where the
Ohio
water.
Street Beach.
Yeah, Ohio Street Beach. Okay, let's check out another one of these.
Oh, Chicago Harbor Lighthouse. I love that. So the steam coming up right behind it. That's at sunrise. Shot that extra from Navy Pier.
And how did you get this? It just like emerged when the clouds parted, huh?
Yes, yeah. Well,
where were you situated for that?
Right on the edge of Navy Pier there. So yeah, that's just patience, right? And ultimately just waiting for the right moment and then click away.
You captured it right there, perfect timing. All right, let's check this one out.
So what this is you know, very cold temperatures, the steam coming off the buildings, and the sunrise just barely coming off the horizon, shooting up and catching it. It looks like it's on fire. Actually, I think it looks like Game of Thrones.
It really does. It really does. The way that the sunlight is just illuminating that. It's steam, right?
Yeah, steam. It looks like fire.
The buildings. So cool. All right, what do we have here?
Well, this is the spot that most people don't realize is there. This is at Montrose Harbor.
See this.
And it looks like a big question mark, right? So some of us would question why we live here, but this is a good reason why you want to live here, because it's beautiful in winter. So, and then you see the skyline in the far distance there, but that's up by Montrose there.
I did not know this. Okay. This is jutting out into the lake.
Right.
And the beach itself would be just to the north of this, right?
Just to the south of it.
Oh, just to the south of it, okay.
And to the west. And as a matter of fact, you might recall we had those snow owls. They were actually sitting out there.
Yeah. So what is this structure right here? That it almost looks like a little
it's a little lighthouse.
A little lighthouse, kind of a reservoir there. Yeah. So cool. And that was another drone one.
That was a drone one, yeah.
All right, do we have another one?
Oh, yeah. So this I took over the weekend. And, you know, this is an example of just finding something interesting. So I will get on my belly or on my knees, and I will look for spots. And this was out by North Avenue Beach. There was like this little opening, and just sat there and just took my time trying to get that into the right spot. The Hancock sitting there between what I call curtains of ice.
Curtains of, this is so cool. It looks like you're in an ice cave.
Yeah.
Was it a cave or was it just like a...
No, it's probably that big.
I mean the lake does do weird things, right?
This is only probably about 4 feet
that's so cool.
wide. So I just happened to find that little opening. And that bar on the right-hand side, that's a post that's been covered with ice.
My wife's a photographer, and her when she does family shoots in colder weather, her fingers nearly freeze off.
Yes.
How do you dress when you go out to get this?
Yeah, so I mean, well, it's funny you say that. So one of the problems with doing photography in winter is your hands, if you don't use a tripod, your hands are above your heart.
Yeah.
So as a result, you know, no blood. So that's why your hands get real cold. So it's important for me to have 2 sets of gloves, and then my boots are rated for -70. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so if my hands and my feet are in good shape, I can be out there for hours. Yeah.
Those are you are a brave man. Okay.
And that's also over the weekend. That's over by Adler Planetarium. We had wonderful ice formations, big planks of ice in the water, and that was at sunrise Saturday morning.
It's so interesting, the variation in color, because the shot you just showed off of Oak Street, it was like really white. They look like those like ice wafers or hockey pucks, and this has got more of that translucent.
Yeah.
Appearance and bigger chunks there. I remember one time a coyote got out on one of those icebergs, had to be rescued. Remember that, Barry?
Yes. If we keep people off of it, it'd be great.
Okay, we have one more
And that
to
was
show.
Sunday morning. The ice was there, and then we had a little steam going across the lake there. So, and then our beautiful skyline in reflection.
I feel like an imposter right now. Mike Kaplan should be doing this interview because he has a lot of expertise to share about composition, but I'm guessing with this particular one, he would have no notes for you. Just the bisected, horizontal, perfect reflection. Barry, where can folks find your work if they want to follow along?
Well, I'm on a variety of social media. You won't see me on TikTok doing anything.
No TikTok, no dancing.
No.
Barry Butler. It's an easy name to remember. Check out his work. Such talent and, wow, hard work and bravery leading us to these images, but we loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after this quick break as we take a quick look at what is going to unfold here on Good Day Chicago during our 9 o'clock hour. We'll be right back.
Everything you need to
Welcome back to Good Day Chicago. We're so glad to have you with us on this frigid Monday morning, but hopefully your work week is off to a wonderful, wonderful start. NASA getting ready for a big run through for a moon mission.
This is exciting. Gabriella is here to tell us more. Gabby?
You know, anything with space is just so interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I just do not get it all also at the same time. But NASA intends to send a 4-person crew to circle the moon next month. But first, they got to practice. NASA will carry out a full rehearsal on February 2nd. First, the Artemis rocket will need to be loaded with fuel so NASA can see if it's ready to launch. If everything looks good, then it'll be all systems go, as they say, for the launch on February 6th. There is a window through March if the weather causes the launch to be scrubbed that day in February. The mission is the first step to a full return to the moon with a landing next year. Let's talk money. You can start filing your tax return today unless you have to pay. Then it's unlikely you'll wait until April 15th. However, if you are getting a refund, you have the chance to try to get it by early February. The White House says returns will be bigger this year because of a change in deductions. Tips are not taxed anymore, neither is overtime pay or high interest car loans. Natalie, Anthony, back to you.
Thank you, Gabby. 7:50 now, taking another icy look outside. And boy, it looks like Siberia, and that the lake, with it being frozen over and snow covered, it just extends the icy landscape, Mike.
And that ice keeps going farther and farther out into the lake. We've really seen a dramatic increase with these recent very cold temperatures, and we'll be building more ice in the days to come because there's absolutely no thaw in sight. But at least, trying to put a positive spin, we've got sunshine out there, and you can see plenty of sun today, and hopefully that will help alleviate some of the icy patches that are on roadways where the salt isn't as effective at these temperatures. There's still a little bit of snow coming down, especially in Berrien County. LaPorte County, Michigan City was reporting a couple of flurries a little while ago. For the most part, that's done, and this is light stuff. The lake effect moving away, the cold isn't. These are the temperatures: 0 at O'Hare, 5 below at Aurora, 1 below at Merrillville, and of course the wind chills are worse. Some spots 20 below 0 or worse, including Aurora, Woodstock, DeKalb, and Morris, even 20 below 0 as far south as Rensselaer, Indiana. 7-day forecast, not a single day above freezing in it. We get into the 20s, but there's a chance for some lake effect snow again Friday and or Saturday. Way too early to determine who's going to get that. It's going to be more for Indiana. It's going to be more on the Illinois side. We'll keep tabs on that one. Otherwise, no big storms in sight, but no thaw either. Back to you.
Okay, Mike, thank you for the update. Let's take a quick look at your travel times. They are stacking up. Nothing in the red yet, but almost. It is nearly an hour ride inbound from O'Hare to downtown on the Kennedy Expressway. 52 minutes if you're taking the Eisenhower, Route 390 to downtown. Nearly an hour on I-55 inbound on the Stevenson between I-355 and DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And Dan Ryan, 95th to downtown. That is a 34-minute ride. If you are expecting something important in the mail, might arrive a little bit late. The U.S. Postal Service says the weather caused delays for both processing and delivery of mail. USPS says it'll continually monitor weather developments and adjust operations in order to try to minimize the impact of this weather. The post office says you can check its website to see how things are going.
This next story makes me concerned for Anthony. Just in case you need a reminder, shoveling snow is typically one of the most dangerous parts of winter. The Mayo Clinic says shoveling snow puts a big strain on your heart, and the cold air increases your blood pressure and reduces airflow. It says if you are 45 or older, do not shovel snow. Instead, you should shovel the snow in smaller amounts so you don't get hurt.
Take it easy. That's what I have to say. No weekend warriors out there, trying to just, be overdo it is what I would say. Use common sense, shovel along as you need to. You develop any discomfort, take a rest, take a break.
Get a lawn chair out there, take a little break, Antho. The majority of snow shoveling injuries are back strains and fractures, and if you feel short of breath, stop shoveling and get inside.
I did have to take a couple breaks, but it wasn't like fatigue, it was fingertips. The fingertips. Actually, I can still kind of feel a little bit of numbness. All right. Once again, they will be saying, gentlemen, start your wieners at the Brickyard.
I can't wait.
Get this, Nat. The Wienermobile race. Look at this. You don't want to crash one of those things. Those are national treasures right there. But they're returning to the Indianapolis 500 for race weekend this year. 6 of them will compete to be the fastest hot dog on wheels. It'll happen on May 22nd, 2 days before the Indy 500. The vehicle, the Wienermobile known as Slaw Dog, won last year. Do you remember if you've been inside Slaw Dog? I know you've been inside a couple of
I didn't know they were named, but I got to figure out how to drive one of those things at the Indy 500 because I think it was on Fox last year.
Do you know how fast they go or anything? Or do we need to Google
I don't think they go very fast.
We need to chat GPT this.
Yeah. All right, plenty more Good Day Chicago ahead. Here's another look at those travel times. We'll be right back. Delta used to be at the top of the Wall Street Journal's airline rankings. Not today. Southwest is now #1 and Allegiant is #2. Delta fell to 3rd. Alaska Airlines and Spirit came in 4th and 5th, all ahead of United, JetBlue, and American Airlines.
Okay, arthritis used to be considered an old person's condition. Not anymore, though. Guess what? A study finds that 40% of younger and middle-aged people say that arthritis limits their ability to work. Supposedly is treatable with medication, exercise, physical therapy. Those can all help manage it.
And Anthony, just remember, you can bet on anything these days, including the winter storm. A lot of armchair meteorologists tracking the storms, making their own forecasts. Someone in one of the many online betting sites put down $170 grand on how much snow New York City would get.
Wow, Mike and I do have a little wager going. On February 12th, if the sun rises right above the dome of Adler Planetarium, we've got a little, like, you know, if it hits that day, he's going to win some toast. All right, are you willing to go halvesies on a home with a friend? A lot of people are doing just that. Yeah, combined buying. Let's go in on a house together. Here's some other stats. The National Association of Realtors say 25% of single women and 10% of single men are first-time home buyers. Married couples make up 50%, and Chicago is one of the top cities where monthly house payments rose last year.
The Buddhist monks not letting the winter storm keep them from reaching their destination. They're in North Carolina on the Walk for Peace journey to Washington, D.C. The monks walked through 21-degree weather through snow, sleet, and over glazed roadways. Their journey has drawn massive crowds, and their message of national healing has resonated in every town they have touched.
You probably heard about it. I haven't checked this one out yet. HBO's Heated Rivalry. This is apparently a show that is now heating up hockey ticket sales. Shows two hockey players who fall in love.